"So I'm not the only one, huh?" Claire said. She was standing in the middle of my living room with a paper bag of cinnamon rolls tucked under one arm and a burgundy bra pinched between two fingers like evidence from a crime scene. The bra had been half buried under the throw blanket on my sofa. I had not seen it there when I went to bed. I had not put it there. And the only thing I knew for certain was that if I told Claire why another woman had been in my house the night before, I would be breaking a promise that was not mine to break. "Claire, it isn't what you think." She gave a short laugh that had no humor in it. "That sentence has a terrible success rate, Daniel. If you have ever had one ordinary object turn an entire relationship upside down, you know how fast a room can change. And if you enjoy stories about friendship, trust, and the mistakes people make when they are scared, stay with me, because the bra on my sofa was only the beginning of what Claire and I had been avoiding for years. My name is Daniel Harper. I was 30 years old then, an architectural photographer in Asheville, North Carolina, and I made most of my living photographing spaces after other people had spent months arguing about them. Hotels, old houses, restaurants, restored churches, new offices pretending not to look new. I had been single for almost 2 years after a quiet breakup that hurt mostly because neither of us had been brave enough to admit we wanted different lives. Claire Morgan was 26, exactly 4 years younger than me, and she owned a small independent bookstore called Bluebird Books, 3 blocks from Pack Square. She had been my best friend for 7 years. Best friend was the safest name we had for each other, which was probably why we held on to it long after it stopped being completely accurate. Claire knew how I took my coffee, which shirts I wore when I was nervous about a client, and that I always called my father before a long road trip, even though I pretended it was just to ask about traffic. I knew she rearranged the front display of her store when she was angry, kept emergency chocolate in the bottom drawer of the register, and read the last page of a book first whenever she was afraid the ending would break her heart. 3 weeks before the bra appeared, Claire had kissed me in the alley behind her bookstore. It had happened after a charity reading that ran late. We were carrying folding chairs inside when a sudden storm soaked us both. Claire had laughed, pushed wet hair out of her face, and said, "You know, for 2 supposedly intelligent people, we have been doing something remarkably stupid for years." "What's that?" I asked. Instead of answering, she kissed me. I kissed her back. Afterward, we stood under the narrow awning while rain hammered the dumpsters, and neither of us pretended it had been an accident. We did not call ourselves a couple that night. We did agree on one thing. If we were going to cross the line between friendship and something more, we would do it carefully. No games, no disappearing, no pretending we were still free to behave as if the kiss had meant nothing. We had gone to dinner twice since then. Nothing dramatic. Pizza one night, Thai food the next. We held hands once walking to her car. She fell asleep against my shoulder during a movie at my house, and I stayed still for 40 minutes because I was afraid moving would make the moment too real. That Sunday morning, she had come over to help me choose images for a gallery submission. Instead, she found the bra. I looked at it again. Burgundy satin. Small black tag. Definitely not Claire's, and definitely not something I could explain by claiming I had accidentally bought it with the sofa. "I have never seen that before," I said. Claire stared at me. "You expect me to believe a bra wandered into your house by itself?" "No." "Then whose is it?" That was the question I could not answer without betraying my sister. The night before, my older sister Rachel had called me at 11:43. She was crying so hard at first that I thought someone had been hurt. In a way, someone had. Her marriage had been coming apart quietly for months. But she had told almost no one. Her husband, Mark, had found messages between her and a divorce attorney and exploded, not hit her. Rachel made that clear. But he had blocked the driveway with his truck, shouted in front of their neighbors, and told her if she left, she should not come back. Rachel drove to my house with one overnight bag and a laundry basket she had grabbed from the hallway because her hands needed something to do. She made me promise not to tell our parents, not to call Mark, and not to tell anyone else until she decided what she wanted to do. At 6 that morning, she left for a hotel near Biltmore Village because she did not want Mark looking for her at my place. Apparently, somewhere between my front door and the guest room, the burgundy bra had fallen out of her laundry basket. I did not know that yet. I only knew Rachel had been there, and I had promised her privacy. "Daniel?" Claire said. I rubbed a hand over my face. "Someone came here last night because they needed help. I promised I wouldn't talk about it." Her expression changed, but not in the direction I wanted. "A woman." "I'm not answering that. You don't have to." She looked down at the bra. "I think the furniture already did." "Claire, listen to me. I did not sleep with anyone. I did not kiss anyone. I did not break what we agreed to." She set the cinnamon rolls on the coffee table with exaggerated care. "But you want me to trust you while you refuse to tell me what happened. I'm asking you to trust me because you know me." Her eyes flashed. "That is a big thing to ask when I'm standing here holding this. And it is a big thing to accuse me of something because of one object you don't understand." The moment the words left my mouth, I knew they were too sharp. Claire flinched anyway. She laid the bra on the arm of the sofa. "I didn't come here looking for a reason to doubt you," she said quietly. "I came here because I thought we were finally doing this." "So did I." "Then maybe you should figure out what this means to you." She picked up her purse. I stepped toward her. "Claire," she held up one hand. "Don't follow me. Not because I think you're dangerous. Because if you follow, I'll either say something cruel or let you talk me out of being hurt before I understand why I'm hurt." That sounded so much like Claire that I stopped. She opened the door, then looked back at me. "I hate that I care this much," she said. Then she left. The door clicked shut, and for a few seconds I stood in the middle of the living room, listening to the old refrigerator hum in the kitchen. Then I looked at the bra again. I picked it up by one strap, found the tag, and saw a department store label Rachel favored. That was when the obvious answer finally reached me. I called her. She answered on the 4th ring. "Is everything okay? Did you lose a burgundy bra last night?" There was a long pause. "Oh no, that sounds like a yes. It was in the laundry basket. I was packing like a lunatic." "Why?" I sat down on the edge of the sofa. Claire found it. Rachel swore softly. "She thinks it belongs to someone I'm seeing." Another pause. Heavier this time. "Tell her it's mine. You made me promise not to tell anyone you were here. I release you from the promise. I should have felt relieved." Instead, I thought of Rachel's face the night before, pale and humiliated, asking me not to turn her worst night into family news before she had decided what came next. "Are you sure?" I asked. "No," she said, "but I don't want my underwear destroying your love life. That is a sentence I hope never to hear again." A tired laugh escaped her. Then she went quiet. Daniel, please don't tell Claire the details. Just tell her it was mine. I'm not ready for people to know about Mark." "I won't. Is she angry?" "Hurt." "That is worse." "Yes." I texted Claire immediately. "The bra belongs to Rachel. She stayed here because of a private family situation. Nothing happened with anyone else. I had promised not to tell people she was here, which is why I hesitated. Rachel gave me permission to tell you this much." I read the message 3 times before sending it. Then I put my phone face down on the coffee table and waited. 5 minutes became 20. 20 became an hour. No answer. I tried to work. The gallery submission deadline was Tuesday, and I still needed to choose 12 photographs from a restoration project at the old Carolina Theater. I had spent 6 months documenting cracked plaster, stripped walls, rebuilt balconies, and the strange beauty of a building caught between ruin and renewal. Claire had been the one who convinced me to submit the series to the Regional Arts Council. "You photograph buildings like they have memories," she had told me 2 weeks earlier, leaning over my laptop. "Stop hiding the good work on hard drives." Now every image reminded me of her. At noon, my phone finally lit up. "I'm glad Rachel is okay enough to have somewhere safe to go. I'm sorry I assumed the worst. I need a little time." It was a reasonable message. I hated it. I typed 3 different replies and deleted all of them. In the end, I sent, "Take the time you need. I'm here when you're ready." That should have been the end of the misunderstanding. The bra had an owner. There had been no betrayal. Facts had arrived. But facts do not automatically repair the part of you that was injured while you were waiting for them. On Monday morning, I drove to Hendersonville to photograph a renovated bank that had become a law office. The architect wanted sunrise light through the original arched windows, which meant I was setting up tripods before 7 and trying not to check my phone every 4 minutes. At 9, my assistant, Malik, noticed. "You expecting a call from the governor?" he asked. "No? Lottery commission?" "No." "Then either put the phone away or marry whoever you're waiting on." I looked at him. Malik grinned. "That bad, huh? I don't want to talk about it." "Excellent. I hate feelings before lunch." He went back to moving a light stand. That was why I liked working with Malik. He could make a joke without using it to erase the boundary after someone drew it. I thought about that more than I wanted to. Claire had accused me too quickly, but I had also responded to her fear as if winning the argument mattered more than understanding it. She had spent 3 years with a man named Owen before I met her. They had been engaged. 6 weeks before this wedding, she discovered he had been seeing someone from his office. The worst part, according to Claire, was not even the affair. It was how many ordinary moments had been turned into lies after the fact. A late meeting, a changed password, a receipt in a jacket pocket. Every small thing became evidence once she knew the truth. Claire rarely talked about Owen anymore, and I had never thought of her as suspicious. If anything, she worked too hard not to be. She hated jealousy because she thought it made her weak. So when she saw the bra, she did not simply see a bra. She saw the possibility that she had ignored another warning because she wanted to believe someone. Understanding that did not mean I thought her accusation was fair. Both things could be true. That afternoon, Claire sent a message. "Can we talk tonight?" "Not at your place, not at mine." I suggested a public garden near the university where we had walked hundreds of times. She agreed to meet at 6. The October air had cooled by then. Claire was already sitting on a bench beneath a maple tree when I arrived. She wore jeans, a navy sweater, and the expression she used when a supplier had made an expensive mistake, and she was trying to decide whether to be angry or practical. I sat beside her, leaving a foot of space between us. "How is Rachel?" she asked. "Safe." That's all I can really say. Claire nodded. "I meant what I wrote. I'm sorry I assumed you had been with someone else." "Thank you." She looked at her hands. "I also know your first instinct was to protect your sister's privacy. That part makes sense to me now." But I'm embarrassed." "About what? That line I said?" She gave me a miserable half-smile. "I'm not the only one. Like I had some claim on you I was too proud to admit 5 minutes earlier. You did have a claim. We made an agreement. We made a careful, vague agreement because both of us were scared to use the word dating." That too, she took a breath. Daniel, I have been your best friend for 7 years. I have watched you date other women. I helped you choose a birthday gift for Allison. I listened to you complain about Leah putting decorative pillows on your bed. I was fine. Or I told myself I was fine. I turned toward her. She kept looking straight ahead. Then I kissed you, she said. And suddenly I wasn't fine with the idea of someone else at all. I hated how fast that happened. I hated that I became the jealous woman in my own head. You became a scared person for about 10 minutes. I left. You also came back to talk. She finally looked at me. Are you still angry? Yes. Her face fell slightly. I'm also relieved. And I miss you. And I understand why you were scared. Those things are all in the room at once. That is inconvenient. Very. A little of the tension left her shoulders. Then she said, I don't know if we should keep trying to date. That sentence landed harder than the accusation had. I leaned back against the bench. Because of Sunday? Because I don't want to lose you. You think going backward protects the friendship? I don't know. Claire, we can call ourselves best friends until we are 80. That doesn't make the kiss disappear. She looked away. I continued. Quieter. If you want to stop because you don't want me romantically, tell me. I'll survive it. But don't call fear a strategy. Her eyes came back to mine. That was annoyingly good, she said. I practiced it in traffic. She laughed once, then pressed her lips together. I do want you, she said. That's the problem. No, that's the part we already solved. We did not kiss that night. That surprised both of us. Instead, we made a rule. If something looked bad, we would ask before deciding what it meant. If one of us could not answer a question because it involved someone else's privacy, we would say clearly whether the secret affected our relationship. No clever evasions, no courtroom cross-examinations, no punishment for needing a little time. Claire called it the no detective agreement. I called it basic adult communication. She told me my name was less marketable. For the next 2 weeks, we tried to live by it. At first, everything felt too deliberate. We had spent years knowing exactly how to be friends. Dating each other made us clumsy in new ways. When I picked Claire up for dinner, she asked whether she should sit in the front seat or make me come around and open the passenger door. You have sat in the front seat of this truck 600 times, I said. Yes, but now apparently there are standards. I can open the door. That would be weird. Then get in. She did, laughing. The laughter helped. So did ordinary life. I finished the gallery submission. Claire reopened the file one evening at the bookstore after closing and argued for a photograph I had nearly cut. An image of the old theater balcony before renovation. Rows of dusty seats beneath a ceiling where water damage had left pale rings like ghostly chandeliers. It is sad, I said. It is honest, she replied. You need one picture that shows what the building survived, not only what it became. I put it back in the set. A week later, the Arts Council accepted the series. Claire was the first person I called. She screamed loudly enough that I pulled the phone away from my ear. That is extremely professional, I said. I sell novels for a living. Drama is inventory. The show would open in December at a small gallery downtown. It was not the kind of event that changed careers overnight, but it mattered to me. The curator wanted 12 large prints and a short talk about the restoration process. Claire immediately began planning how many people from the bookstore she could bully into attending. Then Rachel called again. For nearly 3 weeks, my sister had been staying at the hotel while she and Mark communicated through attorneys. Their daughter, my 10-year-old niece Emma, was staying mostly with Mark's mother to keep school stable. Rachel sounded exhausted every time we spoke, but she also sounded clearer. One Thursday night, She came to my house for dinner. This time there was no laundry basket. Claire was supposed to meet me later for a movie, and Rachel knew it. Halfway through dinner, she put down her fork and said, "You should invite her early." I looked up. "Are you sure? I owe her an apology." "You did not do anything to her. My bra did." I laughed despite myself. Rachel smiled, but it disappeared quickly. "I also owe her honesty if she is going to be part of your life. Not every detail. Just enough that she knows you were not protecting some mysterious woman. You do not owe anyone your private pain." "No, but I can choose what to share." That was different. Claire arrived 20 minutes later carrying popcorn because she did not trust the theater's prices. When she saw Rachel at my kitchen table, she stopped in the doorway. Rachel stood. Claire glanced at me. "Should I come back?" "No," Rachel said. "Please stay." Claire set the popcorn on the counter. Rachel folded her arms, unfolded them, then said, "First, the bra was mine. Daniel was telling you the truth." Claire's cheeks turned pink. "He told me." "I know. Second, he was trying to protect me because my marriage is ending, and I arrived here in the middle of the night with the organizational skills of a raccoon." Claire's expression softened immediately. "I'm sorry," she said. "Thank you. I am all right. Or I will be." Rachel glanced at me. "Daniel did not tell you because I asked him not to. I was afraid if our parents found out too soon, the whole family would descend on me with casseroles and opinions." "That does sound dangerous," Claire said. Rachel smiled. "You understand? I own a bookstore. People bring casseroles for everything." The room eased. Then Rachel surprised me. "He did one thing wrong, though," she said. I frowned. "Excuse me? He could have told you, 'This has nothing to do with anyone I'm dating, but someone I love needs privacy.'" Instead, he went full federal witness. Claire tried not to smile. "I was keeping a promise," I said. "You were being technically correct in the most suspicious way available. Thank you for coming to dinner." "You're welcome." Claire laughed, and I realized I had missed hearing the two women I cared about most tease me in the same room. Later, after Rachel left, Claire and I walked to the movie theater instead of driving. The streets were cold and bright with shop windows. For several blocks, neither of us mentioned the conversation. Then Claire slipped her hand into mine. "I like your sister," she said. "She likes you. She also thinks you are emotionally constipated. She has been waiting years to recruit support for that theory." Claire squeezed my hand. "For what it's worth, I understand why you protected her. I understand why you needed more than trust me." She looked up at me. "We are getting disturbingly mature. Do not worry. I still leave wet towels on chairs." Thank God. We stopped under the marquee. There, with people moving around us and the smell of popcorn coming through the lobby doors, Claire kissed me again. It was not the uncertain kiss behind the bookstore. It was slower and steadier, and when she pulled back, she rested her forehead against mine. "I don't want to go backward," she said. "Good. I'm still scared." "Also good." She lifted one eyebrow. "Why is that good?" "Because it means this matters. That was almost romantic. Do not tell anyone." For a while, I thought the hard part was behind us. Then I made the same mistake Claire had made, only without the bra. It happened in November. Bluebird Books was preparing for its 5th anniversary, and Claire was under more pressure than usual. A large chain bookstore had opened outside town. Her landlord was raising the rent in January. 2 of her part-time employees were leaving after Christmas. Claire responded the way she always did when frightened. She worked harder, slept less, and told everyone she was fine. I saw less of her that month, but I tried not to take it personally. Then, one Tuesday afternoon, I drove past the bookstore on my way back from a shoot and saw Claire through the front window with a man I did not recognize. He was tall, dark-haired, well-dressed, maybe early 30s. They stood close together near the register. He said something that made her laugh. Then he put a hand lightly on her shoulder. I kept driving. My first reaction was so immediate that I almost hated myself for it. Who is he? My second was worse. Maybe she decided dating me was a mistake and did not know how to say it. By the time I reached my studio, I had built a complete story out of 6 seconds seen through glass. I did not text her. That night, Claire called. "Are we still on for dinner?" she asked. I looked at the editing timeline on my monitor. "I have a lot of work." A pause. "Okay, I may be here late." "Sure." Another pause. Then she said, "Daniel, what happened?" "Nothing." The word sounded guilty even to me. Claire was quiet for 2 seconds. Then she said, very calmly, "No detective agreement." I closed my eyes. "I drove past the store," I admitted. "And?" "There was a man with you." She waited. "He touched your shoulder." Oh, for heaven's sake," I winced. "That response is not helping. That was Thomas Reed." "Should I know who Thomas Reed is?" "Yes, because I told you about him last week. He is the commercial real estate attorney Elizabeth recommended. He is helping me negotiate the lease." I remembered the conversation immediately. Claire had mentioned an attorney named Tom while I was trying to answer an email from a contractor in Atlanta. I leaned back in my chair. "He touched your shoulder." He was looking at the framed photograph behind me and moved me 2 inches so he could see the signature. "Oh. Would you like me to continue, Detective Harper?" "No." "Would you like to ask whether I'm seeing him?" I rubbed my forehead. "Are you seeing him?" "No." "Would you like to ask whether I want to?" "Yes." "No." I exhaled. Claire's voice softened. "Do you see what just happened?" "Yes. You saw something you did not understand. You invented the missing information. Then you almost canceled dinner instead of asking me. I know, this is where you say the line about fear not being a strategy. I hate you a little." "No, you don't." "No." I smiled despite myself. "I really don't." 7:30? 7:30. "And Daniel?" "Yes?" "Next time, ask before you punish both of us for a story you wrote alone." That line stayed with me. The next month tested that lesson more seriously. Rachel filed for divorce. Mark did not take it well. He did not threaten her physically, but he called constantly, showed up at her hotel twice, and began telling relatives that Rachel had abandoned the marriage without trying. My parents finally learned what was happening, and Rachel's fear about casseroles turned out to be accurate. My mother arrived with baked ziti. My father arrived with legal advice he was not qualified to give, and 3 aunts began a group text that Rachel muted within 10 minutes. Claire did something different. She asked Rachel what she needed. Rachel said, "A place where nobody talks about my marriage for 1 hour." So Claire invited her to the bookstore after closing and made her help unpack a shipment of mystery novels. No advice, no questions, just cardboard boxes and bad cover art. When Rachel told me about it later, I understood something that embarrassed me a little. I had spent years thinking of myself as Claire's closest person because I knew so much about her. But intimacy was not only accumulated information. It was the ability to make room for what someone could not explain yet. Claire was better at that than I had given her credit for, even after the morning with the bra. The 5th anniversary celebration at Bluebird Books arrived on the first Saturday of December. The landlord negotiations were still unresolved, so Claire had refused to make the event sentimental. "If the rent goes up another 15%, "This may become a farewell party with cupcakes," she said. I knew she was joking because the alternative was panic. I also knew she had turned down my offer to help with money. "I need a business plan, not a boyfriend with a checkbook," she told me. I respected that, though I hated feeling useless. So I did something she had actually asked for. I photographed the store. Not glossy promotional pictures, real ones. The worn wooden floor by the register, the children's corner with mismatched cushions, Elizabeth laughing while balancing 4 boxes against her hip, Claire standing on a ladder changing a display, one shoe half off because she never tied the laces tightly enough, customers reading in chairs they had no intention of buying. I printed 20 small images and hung them along the back wall for the anniversary night. Claire saw them an hour before opening. She walked slowly from one photograph to the next, without speaking. When she reached the last one, she turned to me. "You made my store look important." "It is important." That was dangerously close to sincere. "I can ruin it with a joke if you want." "Don't." So I did not. The event filled the store. Customers brought flowers, wine, handwritten notes, and enough food to feed a wedding. Rachel came with Emma. My parents came. Malik showed up in a jacket I had never seen and complained that bookstores had too many silent expectations. Thomas Reed, the attorney, arrived with good news. The landlord had agreed to a smaller increase in exchange for a 3-year lease. Claire hugged him before I could stop myself from laughing at the memory of the shoulder incident. She caught my eye over his arm and pointed 2 fingers at me in warning. "No detective work." I raised both hands. Later, after the crowd thinned, Claire and I stood behind the register among empty paper plates and stacks of signed books. She looked exhausted and happy. "We get 3 more years," she said. "You built something people do not want to lose." "We built something," she corrected. I shook my head. "The store is yours, I know. I mean us." I looked at her. The music from the small speaker near the window had ended, and for a moment the room was quiet enough to hear Rachel and Emma laughing in the children's section. Claire took my hand. "I almost ended this before it started," she said. "So did I, later." You saw a shoulder touch. It was a very suspicious shoulder touch. She smiled. "Idiot." "Possibly." Then her expression changed. "When I saw that bra, I was not only afraid you were with someone else," she said. "I was afraid I had misunderstood 7 years of my own life. I thought maybe every look, every late dinner, every time you chose me first had meant something different to you than it meant to me." I squeezed her hand. "It meant the same thing," I said. "Even before the kiss?" "Yes." "How long before?" I considered lying for dignity. 3 years. Claire stared at me. 3 years? At least. You helped me set up a dating profile 2 years ago. I was suffering nobly. You chose my pictures. I chose bad pictures. Her mouth fell open. "You did not. I absolutely did." She laughed so hard she had to lean against the counter. "I cannot believe I trusted you. You eventually deleted the profile." My plan worked. That may be the least mature thing you have ever admitted. I feel strangely free. When her laughter faded, she looked at me with a softness that made everything else in the store seem farther away. "I loved you before I knew what to do with it," she said. I stopped breathing for a second. Claire's eyes widened slightly, as if the words had surprised her too. I could have answered quickly. I could have kissed her and let the moment carry us past the difficult part. Instead, I asked, "Do you want me to say it back because you said it?" She shook her head. "Good," I said, "because I want to say it when you know I mean it." Her face went still. "I love you, Claire." The smile that reached her was not dramatic. It was relieved. That was better, she whispered. I kissed her then, behind the register of the bookstore where she had spent 5 years building a life, with our families still somewhere in the building and cupcake frosting on my sleeve. The kiss did not solve everything. That mattered. 2 weeks later, Claire stood beside me at the opening of the theater photographs. The gallery had hung the image she had argued for directly across from the entrance, the ruined balcony before restoration. I watched strangers stop in front of it longer than any of the polished, finished photographs. You were right, I told her. Claire looked offended. Please be more specific. I want to remember this accurately. About the balcony picture, she leaned closer to me. People need to see what something survived. I knew she was talking about the building, but not only the building. I took her hand. We did not announce anything to the room. We did not need to. For the first time since we had crossed the line out of friendship, being together did not feel like a fragile experiment. It felt like a choice we had already begun proving through repetition. Rachel's divorce took another 7 months. Claire's store had a slow January. I lost a hotel contract when the owner's financing fell apart. Claire and I had our first real argument over something embarrassingly ordinary. I agreed to a weekend shoot on the same day as a trip we had planned to see her mother. The old version of us might have hidden behind humor until resentment hardened. The new version argued in my kitchen for 20 minutes. You heard the date when I told you? Claire said. I did, and then I forgot when the client called. That makes me feel like the thing that gets moved when work becomes interesting. That is fair. She blinked. You are not supposed to agree that quickly. I had more prepared. I can disagree if it helps. Do not ruin this. I moved the shoot. Another time, Claire went quiet after a difficult conversation with Owen's sister, who had come into the bookstore unexpectedly. I noticed her withdrawing and almost decided she needed space. Then I remembered our agreement. Do you want space or company? I asked. Company, she said. So I stayed. By spring, Claire had a toothbrush at my house, but not a key. That was her choice. I do not want keys to become symbolism, she said. They open doors. That is pretty symbolic. You know what I mean? I did. We waited until June. One Saturday morning, almost 8 months after the bra incident, Claire came over carrying coffee and a paper bag of cinnamon rolls from the same bakery she had visited that first morning. I was sitting on the sofa editing photographs when she walked in with the key I had given her the night before. She stopped. Something black was lying on the opposite cushion. Claire narrowed her eyes. I followed her gaze and saw a lace garment half sticking out from under a folded jacket. For one terrible second, both of us froze. Then I recognized it. Claire put down the coffee. Daniel. Yes? What is that? I looked closer. Then I started laughing. She did not. Ask before deciding, I managed. I am asking. That is Malik's camera rain cover. Claire stared at it. I picked it up and unfolded the black mesh hood we used to keep glare off a monitor in bright sun. From across the room, one gathered edge did look, unfortunately, like lingerie. Claire covered her face. Oh, no, I laughed harder. She threw a cushion at me. That is not funny. It is extremely funny. I hate the sofa. No, you don't. She sat beside me and stole one of the cinnamon rolls. After a minute, she said, You know what the good part is? What? I asked. I looked at her, at the key on the table beside her coffee, at the familiar bookstore receipt sticking out of her purse, at the morning sunlight spreading across the floor. Yes, I said. You did. That was our real happy ending. Not that we never doubted again. Not that nothing strange ever appeared where it should not. Not that fear disappeared, because love finally had a name. The ending was that fear stopped getting the first and last word. Claire was still my best friend. She was also the woman I loved. Those two things did not compete. The friendship was not something we lost when we became a couple. It became the part of the relationship that reminded us to tell the truth before pride turned silence into a story. And I learned something too. Trust is not demanding that someone believe you no matter what they see. Sometimes trust means giving the clearest answer you are allowed to give. Sometimes it means admitting when something looks terrible. Sometimes it means asking one more question before you walk out the door. If you had been in Claire's place that morning and found a stranger's bra on your best friend's sofa just weeks after your friendship became romantic, what would you have done? And if you were in my place, how would you balance protecting someone else's privacy with reassuring the person you love? Share your answer, because I suspect the hardest part of trust is not knowing the truth. It is deciding what to do in the minutes before the truth arrives.